Yeah, rolling. Tonight is Chaf Teves. It is the Yartzeit of the Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Ramayman. The Rambam has taken a place in the history of Klal Yisrael that is very, very unique. The fact that the Rambam is so beloved to Klal Yisrael, and even Umas Ha'olam, even to this day, recognize the Rambam as being something like the Kiddush Shem Shemayim of Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is the Tachs of Klal Yisrael is to Ki Chachmaschem U'Vinaschem Le'nei Ha'am, that we take Torah and we Torah Hashem and we make a Kiddush Shem Shemayim with the Chachmas HaTorah. And this is the role the Rambam filled. The Rishonim say about the Rambam, Moshe bad Moshe, Lahaya K'Moshe. Right? There was no one that made such an impact on Klal Yisrael, a Yochid that made such an impact from Moshe Rabbeinu until the Rambam. So it's hard to know, who's making such a statement. It's interesting. You don't really find the name Moshe so much in Shas, do you? You don't really find the name Moshe amongst the Tanaim Amraim. It's not an interesting zach. What sort of was a name that was totally not used became
Avraham, you don't know.
Find Avraham. Huh? But we could look it up. We could look it. But Moshe is definitely not a name that's very, very common. I'm guessing. Even though it's not true, it's hard. I would guess maybe that after the Rambam became a little more popular. And even though you do find in the Rishonim, but Ramosha Hadarshan, right? There's Ramosha Hadarshan. Rashi brings down the Ramosha Hadarshan. The Rambam, when you look what the Rambam did, how Mesuda he was to be able to be makif the Kol Torah Kula, which is really, really his goal, to take Kol Torah Kula, make it and be makif in it, and to make it accessible to everybody. When you look at what the Rambam's life looked like, his family had to run away from a very young age from Spain to Egypt. I believe they left from Spain to Egypt, and being the turmoil that they lived through. The Rambam also, he suffered. He had a brother that he lost that was lost in a ship accident, and lost at sea. That was tremendous tsar that he had.
He supported him, no? His brother did,
yes. His brother supported him. And you can imagine, their lives that they led did not have the tranquility that we had, with all the tiltal of gullus and all the anxiety you would imagine they live with. They somehow managed without the Prozac and without all all the psychologists and psychiatrists. They managed to focus on one thing, to focus on being marbik v'ayt shemayim. And it's incredible that someone could have the siyata d'shmaya. But emphasis, when you look at the Rambam, you see he was a gift. He's matana from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Klal Yisrael, that he sent someone like the Rambam to really solidify, any chelik of Torah that you find is hard to find, to figure out pshat in and understand. If the source is always going to be okay. Let's see how the Rambam shtals it back. And once and that becomes a starting point for all research in halacha, especially in the halakim of halacha that the Shulchan Aruch didn't cover. A lot of the Rishonim did not cover, the Baalei Halacha did not cover. The Rambam was Makiv Kol Torah Kula. Just to introduce the Rambam from the very beginning. So he says he was obviously besides being a very big intellectual, he was a very emotional about his connection to his Avodas Hashem, and he gives us very, very colorful descriptions of what Avos Hashem looks like, what Yiras Hashem looks like, and how people come to these madregas. Just like the Rambam, like the people that are intellectual, they don't necessarily talk so much about Avayira, and they're very intellectual. We're not going to talk about, say, Kachim and Tyrus, because it's not Negeb Bisman Azeh. But the Rambam, all Torah is the same, and to talk about Kachim and Tyrus is the same thing, talking about very emotional subjects as Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Let's just read a little bit of the Rambam Hilchos Yesod Torah Perek Beis. should be an ilu neshama for the Rambam, and we should all be zeicha to have some sort of connection to this tzaddik and manig of Klal Yisrael. Hilchos Yisayid Torah Perek Beis. Hakel hanichbad v'hanoir hazeh mitzvah la'ahavoi u'liyir mimenu. It is a mitzvah to love Hashem and to fear Him. Shenemar v'ahavtas Hashem l'kecha v'nemas Hashem l'kecha tira. So it's interesting, he puts Ava before Yira. Let's listen to how he describes the way one gets there. How does the person get to Avas Hashem and to Yiras Hashem? B'shashi yizboinin ha'adam b'maisa v'bruv ha'nefloim ha'gedolim. When a person is mizboinin, contemplates on the creation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that are so wondrous and so great, it has, you can't put a value on it, and there's no end to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's chachma. Miyad, immediately, okay, an immediate consequence of appropriate or proper izbaininus in the bria. Miyad hu oyev, he loves Hashem, mishabeach, and praise Him, mefar, misavet, taiva gedoyle leida Hashem hagalo. Okay, the Rambam talks about something that we should all really wish to have, right? Everybody knows what it means to have a taiva for something. That is just a person goes into autopilot, and that's all they think about, how they're going to get there. And when a person is misbainin, Dr. Rambam guarantees us miyad, immediately, hu oyev mishabech mefar misavet taiva gedoyle leida Hashem hagalo, to know Hashem. Or as we know, the word Leyed Hashem HaGadol means to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kimosh Amar David, right? David describes it as a way of connecting, like quenching his thirst. He has this tremendous thirst for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Where did this thirst come from? It came from his baininus in the Ruav HaNefloim HaGedolim. So this is Ava. Ava is an instant reaction. It's a taiva. Person is ma'ira taiva. Everybody wants naturally to connect to greatness, to something that's unbelievable. Everybody wants a part of. And when a person takes a moment to recognize how unbelievable HaKadosh Baruch Hu is from what's Migal himself in the Chachma and the greatness of the Bria, a person is misav to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is the first level. The next level seems to be a Madrega L'Maila, which typically we think of Yiras Shamayim as being a Madrega below Avas Hashem, but Yiras Shamayim, which is a Yira of Yiras HaEinish, is, you have to know how the three levels of the Mesil Sisharm's Yira fits into here, but definitely Yiras HaEinish can be parked before Ahava, right? But once a person gets to Ahava, he reaches a different level of Yira, and that is what's referred to as Yiras HaRaimus. He goes weiter. He immediately, the person gets taken aback. He gets shocked, right? All of a sudden, you feel so small, shvela, low, afela, dark. You have zero intellect. You're so inconsequential. When I'm misbaining, I cannot imagine that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so great can care about little old me. And afal pikein davar melech v'yazais v'tachasrei mat melikim. Right. So what's the next stage? It's like unbelievable how it goes. It starts off with Ava. You see HaKadosh Baruch Hu is great, and you want to connect. But that's because that's a taiva. That's sort of like instinctively. You want to connect something that's great. Once you get past instinct, all of a sudden you're blown away. How can I get to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And then, you realize, but afal pikein Hashem wants my avodah, and then comes Ava again. Right? It's Ava, which is instinctive, brings a Yira, and then you see afal pikein Hashem puts a whole world, gives it to us, and He gives us the ability to connect, and then there's this tremendous appreciation that afal pikein Hashem wants us to connect, and then the appreciation is even greater, right? Because it makes no sense, right? You naturally want to connect, then you realize this makes no sense, and then you realize afal pikein, then the hatav is even greater, and mela l'chayr it continues, it goes and it goes, and then you get a little, then you start connecting again, and it's kilu like the lashon is it's ratzai v'shayv, right? You're naturally running to connect the Kadosh Baruch Hu, but you always like sort of taking a step back. How could it be machmas gedulas HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And this is a cycle of life that a person has to get into the rhythm. That you're mizbainin, that you're misave, you're yarei, and nacham alachar your ayev, which goes back to you.
Who knew the Rambam was such a chassid?
לפי הדברים האלו אני מבר כללים גדולים ממעשי ריבונו העולמים כדי שיהיו פסח למעבר לארץ השם כמו שאמרו חכם בעניין אבא שמתך כך התמקס מי שאמר והיה עולם. Okay, we'll just wrap up. It's time for Ma'ariv. We'll just say one small thing about Hilchos Talmud Torah. The Rambam just says over here, just to give chizuk to our seder over here, or if you have a seder after the seder. Afalpi shemitzvah. This is the end of Perek Gimel. Afalpi shemitzvah lilma b'yom u'balayla. Ein adam loimed rei chachmasi ala balayla. You're supposed to have to learn day and night. Ikar chachma rei chacham comes at night. Lefichach misha is ratza. This case b'keset Torah. Someone wants to be zeichet to the crown of Torah. Yizar b'chalei leisav. You should be careful every night. Don't take off a night, even not Monday night, not even Thursday night, definitely not Sunday night after a long afternoon. Yoivad afila achas men b'shina b'achila b'shia v'sicha k'yetz b'el b'talmud Torah v'divrei chachma. Am chachamim ein geron shel Torah ela laila shenema kumi roini b'layla v'chalesi b'torah b'layla chutz shachas nemishchava l'b'yom you have special siyat shmaya when you learn at night shenema yom mitzvah shem chas v'leshi yim tefillah kachai chabay shein tevei Torah nishma b'layla eish chas v'shalom eich v'asay dvar Hashem biza shel yishkiach divrei Torah kol ikar. You did learn, and then you get involved in shtusim. Person involved in Torah, when he has bracha, he's going to lose his bracha. A person in Ma'aseh Nefesh for Torah, he's seifai l'kaima me'osher. So the famous Baal Shem Tov said over the past, so maybe just end off with this. It says, "Kol mevatel Torah me'osher, seifa levatlei me'oni." Someone doesn't learn Torah when he's wealthy, he's going to be mevatel Torah from oni, right? He's mevatel Torah when he's rich. He's going to continue to be mevatel when he's poor. In fact, the Baal Shem Tov should say, "Kol mevatel Torah me'osher, seifa liyos oni." What's seifa levatlei me'oni? The oni, he's going to lose his money, right? He's already mevatel, right? Zok the Rambam. Because a person that loses his money from being Vat Torah is a very simple Eitzah, right? Now he's an Ani, he wants to get rich again, he can learn Torah and he gets the next halacha. If you learn Torah when you're poor, Seifel L'Kaim Yoish, you're going to get your money back. So if a person loses his money from Bit Torah, it's simple Eitzah. Start learning. But part of the Einish is that they don't give him Siyat Shabbat to start learning. You had the chance to learn. Right, and part of the Einish is that you won't have Siyat Ishmael to have a Chesh to learn Torah b'Tach Eini, and this way you won't be able to get your Ashiris back. Shudach Chazaychat Ashiris Nachas Ala Bracha V'Atzlachim Schus Yagalin V'Kol Yisrael.